Hope you're having a wonderful week. I'm Koshal Patel with Windermere Homes Estates. Buying a home is the biggest purchase you'll make in your lifetime. Philippe Heller, the owner of the real estate inspection company, joins me to share some important things you want to keep in mind when you're buying your home. A popular neighborhood over the years has become North Park.
Absolutely.
And you know, the homes here they hit the century mark or they're even older. What is something that buyers should really keep in mind when they're buying a home in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s?
Sure, well, especially with so many young buyers who may not have grown up in an old house. Maybe they grew up in a house built in the 80s or 90s or even 70s. These old homes have a lot of different technologies and construction methods. So we try and educate them on the differences of how this house was built versus a newer house in, say, Carmel Valley. And those might include the common use of cast iron plumbing, or even going back before the 1940s, they used clay plumbing, and that's a big deal. So we encourage people to get, for example, a sewer scope to make sure that trees aren't encroaching on the sewer lines, and we inform them of sometimes the lack of insulation or knob and tube wiring. So there's a lot of things to consider.
And the piers and posts.
And a different kind of foundation, that's right. Some people may only be used to being on a concrete slab, and now all of a sudden there's a crawl space, which raises some issues of moisture, possibly animals getting in under there. So it is something that is an added maintenance item, and it should definitely be checked thoroughly when somebody's buying an older home.
What are, in your opinion, maybe the top 7 potential issues that can come up during an inspection?
Well, especially with the older homes, they used a concrete that was called rock sand mortar, and they used to use big round rocks in the concrete versus today when they use kind of a more coarse, smaller gravel. And they used a lot of sand, and they would just get it right from the beach. And so a lot of sand and big rocks didn't make for a very strong foundation. There also wasn't a lot of rebar put in it very often. And so what we see in the older homes is that the concrete has started to deteriorate. The salt and the sand and the big stones didn't help. And so we do see some problems with these old homes. The worst case is that they actually can jack up the house and re-pour a foundation. It's quite expensive, but they can do that. Most of the time, it's just isolated little repairs on the foundation. In addition to that, we do find knob and tube wiring, which is a very old school way of wiring a home. It's kind of the original way. And that will prevent you from putting insulation in a house, because that knob and tube wiring was intended not to come in contact with anything. It is, at this point, all the insulation around the wire is dry and deteriorated, and it's a shock hazard, and it's just not a very safe electrical system. So that we would recommend getting upgraded to a modern electrical system.
And what about dampness in different parts of the home?
Dampness can be an issue. Again, insulation provides more than just comfort temperature-wise. That temperature can actually cause condensation from even, let's say you have a couple kids in a room and just their breath can contact the cold plaster walls, condense, and cause a mold problem. So moisture and also a central heating system very often in the hallway. It doesn't heat the rooms along the perimeter, so the perimeter walls get very cold. So you have kind of an imbalance of temperature and moisture, so it can lead to a mold problem sometimes.
Okay, anything else with that potential list, you know?
Sure, on these old homes, younger people especially have to understand that back in the 40s or 20s, they didn't come with built-in microwaves, exhaust vents, a lot of the modern conveniences that we have today, sometimes not even a lot of receptacles. And everybody has phones and computers and countertop appliances, and we're so used to being able to just reach out and plug something in. And in the older homes with the older electrical system, they may have bedrooms with only 1 or 2 outlets, and it's a frustration. So when somebody's looking at a house, these are things that they should absolutely take into consideration. And if that's something that's very important to them, you know, they should know that it's going to come at a cost. The seller does not have to bring an old house up to today's building code, so it's going to fall on the buyer if they want those upgrades.
And you were talking about the phones and the laptops. You know, we all have smartphones, smart homes, everybody wants them. Is there an easy way to automate your home?
There actually is now. It's so easy. You can go to the hardware store or get online, and you can buy smart switches that tie into your Wi-Fi system, and you can program lights to come on at certain times of the day or at sunset and turn off at 10 o'clock at night, or you can operate them from your smartphone. You can get receptacles that you plug in, and that can dim lights and make it appear that you're home. And they're so much easier to use actually than those old timer switches that we used to plug in when we'd go on vacation, because now you can control your house from anywhere in the world. And so it's actually easier than ever to make your house kind of a smart house. You can get Wi-Fi controlled or Wi-Fi accessible thermostats and even appliances now. So you can start your dinner on your way home from work and it'll be ready when you get there.
I love that easy DIY stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one of the other things we're seeing more and more of in North Park and you know, all over San Diego really, is those tankless water heaters.
Yes.
What are the benefits to those?
Well, the benefits are that they're small and compact in these smaller homes. Today, in a modern home, you usually have an attached garage, and the water heater often is installed in the garage, so it doesn't really take up a lot of floor space. But in these older homes without an attached garage, you have to put the water heater somewhere. So either you're taking up precious space in the kitchen or a pantry, or you have to put it outside, which isn't good for the life of the water heater. It tends to rust faster and not work as efficiently. So not only are tankless water heaters very efficient, which means they're not going to use any gas, for example, when the family's away during the day at work. It's going to shut off completely and only use and create hot water when you need it. And also they're very compact, so it's easy to mount it on an exterior wall and they're not going to take up a lot of space.
Philippe, thank you so much for your time.
My
Good
pleasure.
to see you. And if you're needing help with buying or selling a home, give us a call.